put this on the floor. That'll still pick up pretty well.
I'm gonna. So the Doi Tong Wow is it's the technique of rotating on your chest. Doi Tong Wow.
So doi is like
Opening and opening.
Dong
Yeah,
is
Dong is a close and a Wow is a open close.
Open close.
Right. There I got a nice wow.
Ah, yeah, I can hear it. That sounds great. I mean, as far as you thinking you're out of practice, it sounds awesome.
That's a little Appalachian tune. That's not a Thai tune.
Okay. I was like thinking, I haven't heard that one before. I don't know that one.
I bathe my face in a golden something.
I can hear Smudgy on the microphone nibbling at her leg. Or his leg.
That third harmonic is really hard. Here's the fundamental. There's the octave. There they are.
The three overtones.
Yeah?
Do you ever play the fourth? Yeah, there.
Yeah. But there's no indicators. You just have to.
You have to feel where it is.
You're right. And if you miss it, then you get a clunk. You get a kind of a dead boink. Ah.
So what melody was that? Can you tell me the name before you play it? Tell me the melody you're going to play. If you remember what the.
This is it's an Appalachian. Let me just practice a little more. You're not recording it, are you?
Oh, well, I was, but.
Okay.
I mean, that's okay. I got plenty of tape, so. Make sure I didn't get that chair in there.
I can't get the good rotation there on the.
Uh-huh.
It takes well some people in Pia. Ah. Now it's going out of tune.
So is this the Bia head that you found, or where
No.
did you get that Bia head?
This instrument. This instrument, I think, was made for me by Naitip, the grandson of the court musician.
Did he make the head and everything?
No, he found I think he found the head in a. This is an elephant head. I'm not.
Let me zoom in on the elephant head there a little bit. So yeah, that's a really excellent one actually.
Yeah.
And what's it made of?
It's made of bronze. I'm sure it's made of bronze. Yeah. Right now, it's sort of could be polished up to be a shiny bronze, but yeah, it's definitely. It's a brass, tin, and lead mixture, I think.
Now, have you ever heard the term samrit? Samrit? I think I'm saying it right. That referring to a specific kind of metal that was used to make Buddha images. And the
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So, do you know what that is specifically?
No, I don't know. I don't know the details of that.
Okay, because I know that sometimes they make Bia heads out of that material.
I'm not getting the nice toy.
Jump in front of the camera. Sorry, Smudgy.
Trying to recall a little exercise that.
Smudgy, you can go this way.
That's it. That's just a little exercise I learned to learn all the positions. When the harmonica is just right, it's such a. I once had an oscilloscope, you know, and I played I tested all the instruments in an oscilloscope, and the Pia gave the most pure sine wave of all.
Oh yeah.
The harmonics on this are just such a pure. third one was hard. Well, so obviously it's a very intimate instrument. You have to be close to
hear it.
And also it presupposes a quiet environment, like a village at night. So
yeah, that's why when I played it on the concert stage, we always have to have a really good microphone.
Right.
And I precursor my performance by saying this is for a boy and a girl in
right.
quiet.
In a quiet place. Why don't you play something?
Well, first I wanted to ask you about, you said last night you said about the doi dung wow, but
Yeah.
you also said something else. There was another one, kai or
Kuop kai.
kuop kai. What is that again?
Well, kuop kai simply means, kuop means to cover and kai means to uncover.
Uh-huh.
Kuop means to close something. Kuop, as you would put the lid on something, it's called kuop.
Uh-huh.
And kai means to take the lid off. This is not a highly developed theory, but I just know that the piat players told me that as you play, you have to kuop kai in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's just talking about opening and closing
Yeah.
to get the vibrato
Yeah.
type sound. I see. Whereas the other one, the doi dung wow, is like a special technique.
Oh, that wasn't a good one. The doi dong wow was, they may have been words made up. This was a description of a non-piat player who knew the sound of the piat, but he himself was not a piat player. But he said that all the good piat players I remember would play doi dong wow, doi dong wow.
I see.
It was just a recollection of his. I'm not sure if he made up those words or whether it's a really established tradition of a pattern. But I got the impression that it was at certain times you would not only keep the melody going, but you'd keep a pattern of undulation going, also a second layer of
Going with the kuop kai. Huh? How do you say it again?
kuop kai.
Kuop kai.
Yeah.
Kai. Like
kai.
egg kai.
No, that's kai. Kai means to open, to uncover. Kai.
Okay. Yeah.
Kai.
So the kuop kai might refer to just the physical taking it off your chest and putting
Right.
it back, whereas the doi dung
wow
was kind of a technique of doing
Yeah,
that,
right.
possibly,
right.
that this guy referred to. But so that was your impression, was that he thought that it was a technique.
Right. Now it's coming back to me. If you don't hit the harmonic just right, it gets
You hear that?
yeah, it's unpleasant. It's a kind of a unrefined sound.
So the melodies for this exercise is do 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 do.
Actually, now I'm just sort of improvising. But the exercise that then You know, like we would say la la la. Most of the men musicians I would use the syllable noi.
Yeah. They still do that
Good.
all the time.
Yeah, it's starting to come back to me. Yeah. And as you put a finger down, then the harmonic point shifts just a little bit, you see?
Right. To get the, because the length of the string
Right.
changes.
The harmonic points with open string are one place, and then with the finger down, they're shifted a little bit more. So it's so critical.
Do you know that melody, Joklai? Do you remember that?
As I understand it, Joklai is only a tune that can be played by two instruments at the same time.
I see. So that's probably why nobody plays it anymore.
Right.
Because, well, first of all, nobody, Ajahn Prasid being the primary, rejuvenator, he didn't. I don't think he realized that it was supposed to be a duet. And secondly, since let me give it a try there.
Yeah.
Since there's not that many people that play it anymore, that they wouldn't know how
If
to.
you put it right over your
do it
microphone,
anyway.
you get quite a sound there.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that later. I'm gonna take these out, but.
Oh, good.
Oh, I lost it there. So Salmai is the melody that I play most frequently.
Good.
Oh, I lost it. See, then I just do that with the vibrato
sure.
because I didn't know there was that technique.
No, that sounds authentic. That sounds. It's nice.
Yeah, you have to get familiar with your instrument
yeah.
to know exactly where those harmonics are. But yeah, that's nice, and it's nice and it's solid.
Yeah.
You know, the one that I've been playing on is made out of teak wood, and it's a little bit smaller than. Well, it's about the same size. I don't think it's got as much on this end, but it's lighter, and the heavier ones.
Yeah, you get a nice tone there. That's
Yeah,
a good job.
this is a nice head too. I think I have a silver one that the bia maker, the guy that made most of my bia, the head part of it looks exactly like this with the horns and such. It's a little bit smaller though than that, and then it's got these little circular like leaf bunches, like leaves in front of here, and my thinking with that is the way that they're positioned. The silver one that he made was from, picture of a bia or something. But the way that those are, when I was talking about the jewels, I think that the spots for those had some jewels in them, and nowadays they didn't. They don't know that there were jewels in them, so they just make it without. So you couldn't really stick jewels in it now. But the head was exactly like that with the tusks coming down. But you can see on your instrument there, it's got some extra grooves that
Right.
where this original. I mean,
It
you
might have
said he
been-
didn't make it. That it had
It might
more
have been
than
a
two
4-string.
strings.
It might have been a head for a 4-string.
Yeah. Because that's over time. I don't know if they make them specifically to put those grooves in there, or if they just sort of come along that way. But yeah, that's a nice instrument. So I'll have
This
to,
is the one that's in the best shape. I'll bring you my 4-string one.
But I love the sound of this
Yeah.
instrument. There. When I heard those tapes for the first time, the one in Chiang Mai that you made, I was just like, oh man, that's a fascinating sound. The sound of it just enthralled me. And then once I started learning more about it, how nobody played it and the history and all, it just became more and more intriguing to me. So yeah, that's one of my underlying missions is to inform people
Yeah.
about this instrument.
I'm gonna bring my ebony instrument.
Great, yeah, I definitely want to see that. This is the Put the head
Temporary binding on first, and it was just a very rough binding, maybe 6 or 8 times back and forth, and you can see the holes from that. The temporary binding.
Yeah.
And then with the drum temporarily in place, then he punched these holes, and then he did this weaving.
The braid.
Which is-
So none of this stuff was on there yet?
Not yet, no. There was temporary binding in right here. It's about this far. And that binding stayed until he got these holes punched,
Right.
and he got this pattern woven in
I
all
see.
the way around. Then he started binding these back to the elephant toes, those are called.
Right, I read that in the article. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you about that. Because they kind of look like elephant toes.
Yeah.
that's all. And then another question related. So after he did that, he has the ring here
Right?
to hold it up, and then tightens it back up there. And with the braiding at the top, did he have to go around twice to get that weave? It looks like he goes around twice to get that weave in there. Do you remember that?
Gee,
I know it was a while ago, but because it looks like he goes once under and then has to come around again to go over the other side.
Oh yeah. This he hits every other. Right, every other hole. I think he goes around every other hole and it comes back. It's all pictured there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lost. I'm vague on how that process goes. He gets this binding done, then he starts this whole process, and
Tightening those.
and extending the rope whenever he needs to, runs out of. These are all cut from a circular piece.
Right, I remember you
Cut
said with the
concentrically.
bicycle.
Yeah, and then he stretches them out under his house and lets them dry. And then he soaks them up again. He stretches them to break that circular.
So it doesn't curl up.
Yeah, stretches them out, and then he binds this all back and forth. And when he gets it fairly tight, then he removes the temporary binding from underneath. And then he sits and pulls these up.
To tighten the head.
Yeah.
So one question that's kind of been that's a little bit of, not that there's a big debate about it, but is the name the Glong Ao, right? Ao meaning waist, correct?
Right, Glong Ao.
Now the two theories that I know about it is, one, people say Glong Ao because there's a waist on the drum, and then the other is that because people used to carry it on a pole at waist level, they described it as a Glong Ao because it was it.
Right.
Do you know which it might
I
be
don't have
referring
any
to, or
preference on
thoughts
it. I've heard both of those mentioned. They call this the Ao, the waist of the drum. And I also know that it's played on, so I guess it has a double meaning, probably.
So, I mean, so you've heard both of those ideas
right,
as
I've
well?
heard both those ideas, but I don't know which one is the more correct one.
Right. So now, between this drum and that drum over there, I mean, that's a Glong Ao also?
Right.
And so, why is this one so much bigger than that one? I mean, what's the purpose? The difference. Why is there the difference?
This one would probably would have been mounted on a cart and maybe pulled in a procession. This one would just be used in one of those ensembles. It would have a stand. It would be the waist of the drum would be on a stand.
Right. But they serve the same function, pretty much.
I think so. Although this one was from the wooden part of this drum, minus the head, had been lying in a temple on the suburb of Chiang Mai for many decades, and I found it, and I bargained with the priest to sell it to me. And they were renovating.
Do you remember how much you got it for?
400 baht. Yeah.
400 baht.
Yeah, minus the head.
I mean, nowadays at least 4,000.
Yeah. And then it cost me another Lung Noi asked for another 400 to put or was it 4 or 200? I'm not sure. It was not more than 400 to do the head, yeah.
I see.
Which then was $20.
What did because typically this instrument that I know of it is in a religious context with the Boiluang and that kind of thing. What was his attitude? What were their attitudes towards selling this to you? Did they have any?
When I made him an offer, he said he would have to ask. Well, all the people who had, since it had been lying there for a long time, all the people who gave the money to buy it were dead. So, but still, he would have to ask around to see if anybody had an objection to selling it.
I see.
Obviously, it wasn't going anywhere. It was just lying there. No one was going to use it, and they were doing some renovations, so they needed money for their renovations.
I see.
So I think that's one thing that.
But so there wasn't any major objection to selling it to a firearm?
I think I came back the next day, and he says, "Yes, you may have it for 400 baht."
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be able to acquire one of those in my lifetime, but
I built this stand when I came here to Asona.
Yeah, nowadays, like I'm saying, the temples, once they make the drum, if they use it, they don't buy another drum for years and years and years. And so, and the fact that logging is now banned. To find somebody, to be able to have one of these made, first of all, it costs a lot of money because they got to find a tree to cut down to do all that, and sometimes that might take a little bribery, to let them do it, and then it's the whole process of making it, and I I mean, you know, shipping and stuff to try to get one of those back here just be impossible.
So this was probably turned on a lathe, on a probably some stakes were driven into the ground with a wooden peg driven through, and then it was held at both ends, and then children would sit on the ground with their feet, and they would like this, turn it with their feet.
I see.
4 or 5 kids would turn it
To get it to spin.
Yeah,
So
and then the man would have his metal tools here to turn this out. Yeah.
I see. Is there any symbolism on the instrument? I mean, in terms of either religious or otherwise?
Not that I remember.
No.
They just. Not that I remember.
Okay.
I'm sure there's associations with it that I don't know about.
Yeah. Well, you want to take a break for a while?
Okay.
We can do some lunch or something, and then.
That's not quite it. That's supposed to be a tune called Lao Pan.
Lao Pan.
ตัวพี่แต่งเมากับตัวแม่เล่าแก้มเอียงใจพี่บ่เสียงกับแม่สีทำแพงขอฮักขอแปงข้าสักหน่อยหนึ่งแต่ขอน้องหักปีเนื้อจะปั่นน้ำเบอร์ที่หนึ่ง There's a lot of these chording tunes they just make up. I shouldn't be on camera just dredging up old stuff that I haven't really practiced.
Well, it's okay. I'm not going to be showing it to, you know. I'll just show the good parts to various other people. But.
Saw Pama. ตัวปีตึงเมากับตัวแม่เล่าแก้มเกียงใจปีบ่เสียงกับแม่สีทองแดงขอหักก็แพงข้าสักหน่อยหนึ่งแต่ก็น้องหักปีเนอจะปั่นน้ำเบอร์ตีหนึ่ง Is smudgy. You haven't heard that for a long time, huh? What's going on here? Papa's going funny on me here.
What are you playing, man? That's funny. So was it more likely that someone would sing when they played a sung or salah? Obviously not.
They could do, yeah, it was a solo instrument. It was also accompaniment for singing. I have some really excellent recordings, especially of Lung Ta Kham, the really short man there, of accompanying himself on all manner of songs.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was the Salah Sa Sun ensembles.
Yeah.
What do you know anything about the history of that, and what the typical context for performance on? Did you see that a lot while you were there?
That was I didn't see it. It's more or less home music. In other words, for home warmings and just for general entertainment. I think it's mostly entertainment music in the homes, and not so much in the temples, but in homes when I was there. And each of the instruments could be a solo instrument, and then they made a nice sounding ensemble. Yeah.
Well, I wondered if you knew about any history with it. That if because of the use of the Qing, made me wonder if it was centrally influenced at all in terms of its history.
Well, the people who moved up from Bangkok, musicians who had moved from Bangkok, would tell me that northern Salah Sa Sung is kind of watered down northern classical music. But the people who were native Chiang Mai people, musicians, would tell me, no, this is an authentic separate tradition. So I guess they was depending on your
Depending on who you asked.
Who you ask, yeah.
I see. So that idea, I mean, I can understand to a certain extent why they would think it was centrally influenced, in that there's a, matap with the drum pattern,
Yeah.
and the Qing
Right.
associated with central Thai stuff.
Right.
But in terms of the melody and in terms of the instruments and that kind of thing, then that's not, in my opinion, it's not centrally influenced. That's something indigenous to the northern region. But so I wondered if you, well, like you say, it depends on who you ask, but I wondered if those instruments, the sung and the salah, were solo instruments until more recent times, or whenever, that they might have been put together as an ensemble.
I wish I knew. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know that either. So when I write about that kind of thing, I'll mention that it's a possibility that the ensemble was formulated, more recently because of central influences, whereas other people would say that no, this is something that has existed for a long time. So I get both sides of the perspective and let the reader draw their own conclusions about what they think.
Mm-hmm.
So any other melodies on that? Do you know that Sao Mai tune?
No. What's the tune?
That. Another one?
No. Why don't you pick it
How
up for me?
about Long Napping? You know that one?
No. There's two ways to tune this, and one of them is more convenient for depending on the mode you're in.
Luk Sam.
Yeah, Luk Sam, Luk Si. This is in Luk Sam. No, I didn't develop a great repertoire on this. I mean, a big repertoire. You play?
I can play it a little bit. When you were there, what in terms of musical study, what instruments did you try to learn how to play?
I learned Renat, and I also had some lessons on the Saw Duum from a Central Thai teacher, and then I also played the Renat.
I see.
But not formally and not for very long.
Did you play like Nan, stuff like that?
I didn't learn the Nan, no.
Did you have any of those instruments like Nan?
I do. I have some, yeah.
And like, would the person show you basically how to play it? I mean, the introduction to the techniques, performance techniques and stuff?
I observed players. I knew what they had to do. I knew the breathing technique, and I have plenty of recordings and pictures, so I know how they did it. I just didn't develop the skill myself.
Yeah, yeah. I wondered if well, two things. One, I wondered before I ask you the other thing is, can with this thing you showed me about your speeches that you gave with the cow, can you read through that and then translate that for me? And I don't know if I'll end up being able to use some of that or not, but I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the context for where this kind of thing would be read. Is cow something that would be used in the courting context, or?
This is from Kao Panyapom. This Panyapom was a poet who lived about 100 years ago in Nan and Pra. And he was always in and out of trouble with the law and jealous lovers and
kind of a Hanuman type character, except he was real life.
มนุษย์ลุ่มฟ้าโลกล่างต่างคงภายบัทลงกำทุกต่อข้ายามเมื่อเป็นดีนามีก้าวผ้าแฝง Whoops, I gotta get stronger glasses. I have this on a recording.
Oh, really?
This is sort of a lamentation of woe is me, all these troubles happen to me, but it's all beautiful rhyme. คงภายบ่ทำลงกำทุกเต้าข้ายามเมื่อเป็นดีหากมีก้าวป้าแฝงตัวมาบ่จ้าจะตาลงพันพงปีหน้าบ่เลียวพอหน้ามาใจปึ้งปี้เจ็บต้องปึ้งน้องเจ็บใจ Oh, that's a famous one. ตึกสังอันใดใจตันตีบเสียง
Bringing back
หนึ่ง
memories.
ตึกหนึ่งหมองหนึ่งกองหนึ่งเมียงมหันแต่เรียมปีไทยเสมอเหมือนโพทรายกิ่งไม้อันมีร่มกว้างหนาใบขอเปิ้งอยู่ปืนคือจื้มบานใจไม้โพทรายลางกว้างกิ่งเกิ้งกันลมมัดดีบ่อล่างหนีวงขอสมกังกึ่งแห่งน้องมนุษย์ลุ่มฟ้าโลกล่าต่างคง humankind living all over the world ภัยบ่ทำลงกำตุกเต้าข้าno one has known such misery as I have ยามเมื่อเป็นดีหากมีก้าวป้า when times are good and all your relatives take care of you แฝงตัวมาบ่จ้า beware because there will be แฝงมาตัวบ่จ้า the seeds of the bad times are in the good จะตาลงพันพงปีหน้าthen your fate, your fickle fate catches up, your bad luck catches up with you. Fang. Chatalong, chata is luck, like luck. Chatalong, your luck drops. Panpong pina. And all your friends and relatives who loved you, ba liang pa na ma jai. Now, won't even turn their heads to see you or even admit they know you. Pung pi jep dong, pung nong jep jai. Oh, that's come into common speech. Pung pi. If you depend on your older brothers and sister, pung means to depend on. Pung, you see what line I'm on?
Yeah.
Pung pi jep dong. If you depend on your older brothers and sisters, you'll end up with a stomachache. Bung nong jep jai. If you depend on your younger brothers and sisters, you'll have a heart. You'll have a broken heart. Depend on your elders, you'll be in a sick in the stomach. Depend on your youngers, you'll be heartbroken. Bung pi jep dong, bung nong jep jai. That's a famous one. Kut sang andai. No matter what good song andai, whatever plan you might make, jai tan tip siang. It will come to ill. Nung good nung mong, no nung good nung mong nung gong nung miang. If you no matter what you think, no matter where you look, no matter where you go, no matter what you ponder, mahan te riem pi thai. Let's see, no matter where I look, no matter where I ponder, I just think of you. Mahan te riem pi. Pi here means, P. But they sometimes use P to mean your loved one, your dear, your sweetheart. P. P Thai. My dearest one. Sama muan posai ging mai. It's like a poetry with broad branches, right? Sama muan posai ging mai. An mi rom quang na bai. With a broad, it casts a broad shadow and nice thick leaves, na bai, An mi rom quang na bai. Kong pung yu pun, hu jung ban chai. Kong pung yu pun. And may I request to Kong pung yu pun. In other words, may I have refuge under your shadow, hu jun ban chai, that I may be refreshed in heart and spirit. Mai posai lang, mai posai lang, what's that? Guai
King.
gung. I'm not quite sure what that is. Mai posai lang kai king gung. Gan lom mati bolang ni weng kho som kam gung hang nong. I kind of not sure about that. Gan lom mati, in other words, when a storm hits the tree, I will have refuge, and you'll be. So I think it means that you'll be my refuge in bad times. It's sort of a lamentation, but it's also kind of flattering.
Right.
The girl
Always
say-
thinking of trying to
Right.
woo a woman.
Yeah.
How about the saw on the next page? Saw you know.
Song Pi Liang. แม่งามสวยนางเรื่นรวยสองกู้สร้างสองกู้สร้าง
We're on page 6.
Oh, I skipped that one. You know? Oh yeah. ซูมชีซูมชีพข้ามอนไทยซูมชีพข้ามอนไทยว่าสิอัปปีวาดไว้ไก่กล้าวเกสีมวนเด็ดI'm not sure about this one.
Yeah.
That's
I
really
understand. That's, I mean.
Succeed to Tatri Song Ban Mi Kum Krong Lok La Kho Metta Tham Jong Nam Mokha Manut Doi Fa Yu Jum Suk Yen No, I'm not so good at translate that one.
Well, that's okay. That's part of the idea is that it's poetry stuff, so
Yeah,
it's harder to,
it is.
to do. Would you say, what, besides the singing aspect between cow and saw, are there other differences? Like, does the poetic form, is it pretty strict in the differences in that?
The poetic forms.
Is that what distinguishes the two, other than the fact that saw is sung and cow is not?
It was hard to get a good definition of these forms, and I think that sometimes they overlap. Saw is meant to be sung. Cow, I think, is meant to be recited. But then sometimes they say cow saw.
Right,
Yeah.
I've heard that.
They'll say cow saw, and so I'm not quite sure where the boundaries are. Cow, I interpret cow to be sort of like classical Northern Thai poetry. But it also, thang cow, they say you can thang cow, you can write poetry. Cow is sort of like the closest word to be poetry, I guess.
Yeah.
And saw would be, it could be that same poetry
But
sung, yeah.
So if you cow saw is, can you sing the cow poetry?
Right.
And then it's called cow saw.
Cow saw, I think so, yeah.
But so is the poetry, like in these examples, is that cow for saw yono and for this saw yin and the examples that you have here, is that an example of cow as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because my understanding, which might be wrong, but the cow, like you say, is specifically referring to the poetry, classical poetry, and there's standard rhyming schemes that go along with that.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if those same standard rhyming schemes apply to the saw, or if saw has its own rhyming schemes that characterize it as saw.
At the bottom of page 7,
Yeah, I see you drew those.
I drew the rhyme scheme. Saw Pama. ตัวปี้ตึงเมากับตัวแม่ลาวแก้มเกี้ยงใจปี้บ่เสียงกับแม่สีทองแดงขอฮักขอแปลงข้าสักหน่อยหนึ่งตึกก็น้องหักปี้เนอจะปั่นนัมเบอร์ที่หนึ่ง so it's the inner rhyme like ตัวปี้ตึงเมากับตัวแม่ลาวแก้มเกี้ยง and then the end of the line rhymes with the third or fourth word of the next line. Chai pi bo siang got me si tong dang. Dang is going to rhyme. Ko hak ko bang ka sak noi nung te. There the rhyme breaks down. Then ko nong hak pi no Japan number here. That's a borrow from English.
Right, number.
If you love me, you'll be my number one.
Yes, that's right. So how would you translate that little thing?
ตัวปี้ตึงเมากับตัวแม่ลาวแก้มเกี้ยง ตัวปี้ is talking about it. The singer is talking about himself. He's older than the girl, so he calls himself ตัวปี้. As for me, I've fallen in love with me lao, which means a Lao girl or Northern Thai girl. Gam Giang, with the shiny gam or the cheeks, rosy cheeks. I fell in love with little Miss Rosy Cheeks. Chai pi bo siang got me si tong dang. Then he calls her me si tong dang.
Gold, red.
Tong dang is copper.
Copper, yeah, that makes sense.
Messi, tong dang. Now he chai pi bo siang pi jai pi pi jai bo siang. Excuse me, I read it backwards. Pi jai bo siang. Siang here means lao jai. This phrase lao jai. When you're satisfied, you say lao jai. Your heart has had enough. Lao jai means satisfied. And in Northern Thai they say siang jai. Siang jai. Jai pi jai bo siang got me si tong dang. In other words, my heart cannot get enough of you, my shining.
Copperly.
Yeah.
I see.
And third line, ko hak ขอแป้งข้าสักหน่อยหนึ่งตึก if you would just love and give me a little bit of affection, right? ขอฮักรัก right? The H, the ha for the
changes from the
ra to ha. Ra becomes ha. ขอฮักขอแป้งข้า ข้า here is the personal pronoun. สักหน่อยหนึ่งตึก just a little bit please สักหน่อยหนึ่งตึก ก่อนน้องฮักพี่เนอ if you น้อง will love me พี่เนอ and that's just a little urging word.
Yeah.
จะปั่น number ที่หนึ่ง if you will just love me a little bit then I'll make you my number one.
So, you know, with using that number one in there being English,
Yeah.
this Sapama, I mean, how old?
No, it can't be that
is
old.
that?
Probably not more. This verse is probably not more than 50, 60 years old. Number ที่หนึ่ง
Sachapu.
เดิกมาที่หันมอย Let's see, I haven't read this one for a long time. ข้ามอนน้อยฝากเท้าเทียงจ๋ากับเปื้อนฝูงปูลุงเอาอาพ่อแม่วงศาละเด็กละอ่อนก่อนจะกลับไปรับไปนอนฮือเจ้ารับม่วนฝันดีสปีติญโยสปะโลโก oh, there's that thing สปีติญโยสปะโลโกอัญยุวันโนสุขังพลังก่อนละเนอ that's just it's a kind of a lullaby. ดึกมาที่หันมอย night is falling gently ข้ามอนน้อยฝากถอยเจียงจ๋า I think that means may you be ushered into sweet dreams and sweet sleep กับเปื้อนฝูงปูลงเอาอา may you be at peace in the bosom of your family, you know, your aunts and uncles and พ่อแม่วงศาละเด็กละอ่อน your mother, father, your all the children of the house ก่อนจะกลับไปรับไปนอน before I leave to take my sleep คือเจ้ารับม่วนฝันดี may you, I wish that you may have good sleep and pleasant dreams รับม่วนฝันดี that's a common saying in รับม่วน you know ม่วน to have สนุก
Right.
but they'll say รับม่วน in Northern Thai รับม่วนฝันดี Sapitinyo. Now this is that little Sanskrit blessing or Sanskrit blessing. Sapitinyo sapa loko anyupano sukhang palang kondana. May you be granted all the wishes and all your wishes in the world. Sapa loko means everything in the world. Anyupano, this is Northern Thai. This is Sapitinyo. No, this is Northern Thai. Anyupano means may you have long life. Sukhang palang means may you have physical strength. Gon lano. That's not printed right. Gon lano. Oh yeah, I guess so. Gon lano.
Before.
No, gon here does not mean before. Here, this is just a little ending word like so be it or gon lano, which is sort of like a little, and so it is.
Like an amen.
Yeah, amen kind of a thing. Yeah.
So and then the joy. That's not sung, but it's in a. Is it in a heightened speech?
Yeah, it can be sung.
And then on the next page you talk about the hum. And so what is the difference between joy and hum?
That was hard one to grasp. Hum is kind of a
Hum.
more meditative song, kind of a.
I don't think I've ever heard hum, or if I did, I was not aware that's what.
Not too many people knew about it, but it was explained to me as a kind of a song made up for kindle a fire, falling a tree, building a house, dedicating a temple, introspective and spiritual forms.
Would it be something that someone would sing on their own when nobody else was really around?
Could be, yeah.
Or was it, you know, for a specific event type?
Hapkwan. They would, yeah. This is an example of one for recalling a spirit, like at that ceremony I told you about.
Right, the Kwan ceremony.
Sayan he, Wela tam koi, Sukun. I'm not sure about that. Boy, it's been a long time. I'm stumbling badly here. Jariya. Oh, there's that. That's in the third line. The Jariya. That was my Thai name. Jariya. No, Surya. Sorry, Surya. Not Jariya. Surya is the fancy name for the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Surya Linghon Duang Jan. Is there a radio on somewhere?
That's just my tape player.
Ah.
Making that noise.
Duang Jan, John Song La. The sun is setting, the moon is starting to shine. Dao Khun Padap Dong Fa, and the stars are starting to adorn the heavens. Benti Na Joiban. Benti Na Joiban, oh yeah, which is a source of much delight. Benti Na Joiban. Dok Bua Dok Pan. The lotus flowers are opening. Beng Ban. See. Salon. Beng Ban Salon. Yeah. Beng Ban, so the blossoms are opening up. The night blooming lotuses are opening. Dung Dok Gason. Hamdi Bonoi. And the gaze, I don't know how to translate there, there's the gason flowers. And the fragrant gason flowers are sending out their fragrance. Ương Pung. Joy Oi. Ban Tuk Muwandi. I'm not sure what that means.
So this hum and the joy and the song, the cow, all of that is particular to the north then.
I think so, yeah.
It's,
But I think they're not mutually exclusive categories of. They're. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You can. Sometimes you hear it called cow saw. Sometimes you call it joy saw. You'll hear it called joy saw.
mm-hmm.
So, I think they might be just sometimes different facets of a similar thing, depending on their function
Right.
or their subject matter.
Yeah.
Subject matter.
What they're performing.
Yeah. Some are more. Joy is almost always something to do with courtship, and saw can be about anything, and cow is frequently can be narrative or historical.
It could be religious in
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
And such. So the cow and the saw then are kind of. Well, if you were to make a hierarchy, then is that kind of the order that you have here? You'd have the cow being, maybe the most difficult in terms of composition and for more formalized events, and saw would be that, but also some love stories and stuff. And
I don't know if there's a hierarchy. I guess cow is usually, I would associate that with more, maybe a higher literary style, and saw can be more informal and folksy.
Would
Well,
the
I'm not
cow,
sure.
you know, when you talk about the saw getting a little body and such, would
Yeah.
the cow ever do that, or not really?
Not the classical ones, no. No, I don't think so.
And how about the joy?
Joy is usually not openly body, but it's very. But it uses a lot of pictorial language. You know, like the dew is doing this and the flower is doing this. There's a lot of pictures in it that could be taken sexually, I guess.
So, can you translate that joy part there?
Let's see.
On the 8th page. Hang up. Hang. Paul.
Ngan, that's ngan.
Oh, Nyan.
Ngan po fa.
Nyan. This emoji.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get this here, Joy. Okay. Ngan po fa. This is when you turn to look up at the sky. Make fa gang hao. Gang hao. Ma han da dao. Oh, when you turn to look up at the sky and the clouds part. Make fa gang hao, and the clouds separate. Mahan da dao. Pa gai nui noi. Pa gai. You see the stars, little stars twinkling all over the sky. Kai pu mighty kap ji dok soy. Kai pu maitri, I would like to start a friendship, right? Kai pu maitri, I would like to plant a friendship. Kap ji dok soy. Ji is the word for a very young girl. They call her sao ji.
Oh.
Okay, I would like to plant a friendship with this girl. He calls her ji dok soy, with this little blossom flower, little flower blossom. Sang ma no yak nak. Sang ma no yak nak. Yak nak means it might be it's going to be very difficult. Pluk dok selit tit ton sarak. Sang ma yak by no nai. These are two kinds of this is a famous line it's like planting, he says, my chances of getting something going with you are not that good. It's like planting a thorn bush next to a rose or something, you know. Or it's like doxilit. Doxilit is one of these, it's like a vine, like a creeper, you know, that'll take over. I think that's what it means. Ton sarak, ton sarak. I'm not sure the English translation, but it's a flowering plant.
So he's saying, trying to plant that.
He's trying to get close to this girl, like you
so
might.
is he equating himself with this vine?
Yeah.
Crawls and takes
Right,
over,
right.
and she's the flower
Right.
that he wants to be the vine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Sang ma nyak by no nai. By no nai. Sang ma nyak by no nai. I understand the individual words, but I'm not quite sure what sung ma nyak. Fine on I don't know, it sounds the effect of it sounds like it's doesn't have a good chance of happening. Roi pi panong ma pung bahok tao nai lompang kutan good nyak jakap sawat murbanเพราะ hon tang dieng nyak lam. Oh, now he's saying Roi pi panong ma puong luong lai. I don't get the sense of that.
100 something. B. Pan.
Oh, pan, okay.
Pan.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah, you could have 100 lovers, but they wouldn't love you as much as I do. Hak bo hak tao nai song pang kutan. You could 100 other guys could come and woo you, but they wouldn't be as good as I am. Bo hak tao nai would not love you as tao nai means. He's talking about himself. Nai, he's calling himself Nai.
Right.
Bo hak tao nai lam bang kutan. I don't know what that is.
Gu means you, doesn't it?
Kutan.
Gutan. So it's like
Mung ku bang kutan.
bang.
Bang.
Gutan.
Bang is a flower, but bang, I'm not sure.
I won't love you as much as me. Long bang. Gutan. I don't know that either.
Okay, good nyak jaklap sabat murban. Good nyak. That means it's hard for me to think of leaving now. He's probably making saying that, oh, it's time for me to leave, but gee, I wish I didn't have to leave.
Right.
In other words, what if I stayed here tonight? Good nyak jaklap sabat murban. Sabat murban means to murban, to go back to my own house. Pa hon tang nyak, pa hon tang teo nyak lam. Because in the dark, it's really hard to find my way. Teo nyak lam. Teo is Northern Thai word for walking. Teo nyak. Teo nyak lam. The walking is very hard in the dark.
So if he could spend the night,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have to walk home.
Yeah, right.
I see.
Samadhi. Oh, wow, this brings back stuff that I hadn't thought about for so long. That's good.
Yeah, well, especially
Ngan pona.
you're going through that.
Ngan po fa.
Like I said, I can figure out stuff that's in Central Thai. It takes me a while. But
I
the
have all
Northern
these.
Thai-
I have all these read by this Kruinta.
But the translations of the northern stuff is, like I said, beyond me. Especially the meaning aspect.
Yeah.
I can maybe get the literal translations, but the meaning. Whew. Well, so I also wondered if I could take a look at some of your photographs and such
Sure.
that you have.
They're not as neatly organized as yours. Some of them.
Well, I just stuffed all those in the photo album because I've been scanning those into the computer. So as I scan them,
Oh, you have a.
I stick them in there. Yeah, when we got back, my wife's father was kind enough to help us buy a computer, so we got a scanner.
Oh, great. Do you have like Photoshop where you can enhance and
Yeah.
all that stuff?
You can do all that stuff on it. So one of those dance photographs that you saw, I scanned all those in, and when the original place I wanted to take the pictures had a dark background, which would have contrasted.
but then there wasn't enough light at the time of the day that we did it, so we moved to that place. So if you look at those, there's a lot of times there's these lamp posts sticking out of the ladies' heads and stuff. So I plan, if I have time, that I can go back and take those lamp posts out of the photos.
Maybe you can animate them, reanimate them on your computer.
Well, there's a way you can do it, like with a slideshow.
Yeah.
You can just leave a short space in between, so that they'll go through. But yeah, one of the things that I would like to do after I get my dissertation done and have a job and what have you, is to make a website devoted to Northern Thai music studies and such, and put all that stuff on the web, so that people, anybody that's interested in it can see some photographs, and you can even do video and sound and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to at least put some examples of some things on. But in any case, that's all down the road when I have more time to do that. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Oh yeah.
Life
I
gets
have quite a lot of regrets. This whole thing is enjoyable. Your visit is very enjoyable to me, but also it just reminds me that it fills me with regret that I should have done something more systematic with all this time ago.
And you can feel good in the fact that somebody, is interested in all the stuff that you did and is planning to continue that work for you, so that way all the other things you've accomplished in your life, had you merely pursued this, you wouldn't have been able to do all the other stuff you've done, right?
Perhaps.